Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video I'm having a look at what has been happening sort of trend-wise in terms of investments into the blockchain game sector. So obviously looking back at what happened in 2023 and comparing that with sort of 2022, very much a boom year, and 2021, some of which was a boom year as well. This is the third of the sort of series of articles and videos I've done. The first one was looking at on-chain gaming activity, and the second one was looking at token performance. So if you're interested in those, check those out on YouTube, or look at my Substack, which is gamestx.substack.com. Okay, so looking at investments today, I thought a good way to start off, maybe a bit more of a sort of eye-catching way, maybe, was just look back at the last 3 years, and this is actually not all the investments over 50 million, but basically I was looking at sort of investments over $50 million into the blockchain game sector. And I guess what we're particularly looking at here is the sort of the projects that raised very, very large sums of money during 2021, 2022, and equally how sort of 2023 sort of compares against that. So 2021 is in green here, and remember these, that was really the start of when the cycle was taking off. So we did have some sort of reasonably large sort of investments going on here, but we had these two very large ones: Sorare, $680 million, and Fortnite was 725. Although Sorare had already done a $50 million investment, and Fortnite and Forte had done I can't remember what its first investment was, 35 or something. But these very large single investments, and sort of interestingly, I guess since late 2021, Sorare is still around. It's doing well on the soccer side. It's launched basketball and a few other sports, but this was sort of very much the sort of peak where it raised like an enormous sum of money. Forte is even more complicated, raised an enormous sum of money. Not very clear what Forte has been doing since then. It's sort of a back-end sort of solution that developers can use. As far as I know, the only sort of public company using it is Zynga for its Sugartown game. But an enormous sum of money, and really Forte has not really been a presence in the sector as far as I can see, at least openly, since that time. So sort of these are interesting sort of investments. Maybe we could say these are sort of over investments at this stage. That's what you get in the early stage of a market. No one really knows what's going to happen. Is this going to be the next best thing since sliced bread? How do you value these companies? How much revenue is going to flow? So anyway, and remember, at the end of 2021 was the last peak of the sort of the crypto market in terms of like sort of Bitcoin and ETH prices. So those were hitting their peak then. Axie Infinity also happening around sort of late 2021, early 2022. So there was a lot of hype around the sector then. Into red, we go into 2022. Again, nothing quite as big as that, but equally, a lot of big deals. Animoca Brands did a whole bunch of raises. And people like Yuga Labs. So Yuga Labs did a VC fundraise, $450 million fundraiser here, and then did another sort of NFT drop for its other deeds, NFTs, $300 million. Sort of remember all the gas wars people were doing to try and mint these things out. Fun times, I suppose, back in the day. Again, Yuga Labs, not really done sort of very much since then. It's doing these tests around other sides, but it's sort of evaluating what it is. It says it's not a games company per se anymore. So we'll sort of, again, we can sort of see here maybe over investment in the hype of the NFT. This is the NFT market sort of lagged the crypto market or the token market somewhat. Remember in 2022 when we hit sort of May, we have the Luna collapse and Three Arrows Capital collapse. And then obviously in November we have FTX collapse. So from the second half, certainly the second half of 2022 was the bear market was starting to come in. Crypto prices were down a lot in many cases. We didn't really know it was going to go down maybe for another year, but there was a big raise. The last big raise really was Limit Break here, so a US game dev company doing some really interesting infrastructure stuff. It's got a project out there called Digidaigaku. Not quite sure what's happening with that. They've done a lot of interesting behind-the-scenes stuff with NFT standards. So they've got this thing called ERC 721C, which is a way of imposing creator royalties on chain, which has been a big problem up until this point. So anyway, we'll see what they're doing in terms of games. Again, maybe they've raised a lot of money and maybe not going to do a game. I'm not quite sure. They've not really ever announced a game, to be honest. Okay, so move to 2023. What happened? Well, you can see here not very much. So the blue areas here, where the X is, it basically means there was no investment in those months over $50 million. So we actually don't have that many of those investments compared to, we have an X here in August in 2021 and an X here in November in 2022, and then January, February, April, May, June, August, October, November. So lots of X's in 2022. It was just a really sort of bad year certainly for big raises, and even for sort of small raises. So there were some notable ones. Actually, this one was slightly smaller than 50 million. This is $40 million for CCP doing a blockchain version or a blockchain game in its EVE Online universe. Not quite sure how it's going to pan out. They did actually do a playtest end of last year, but nothing. I don't think we would expect that game to be out in 2024. But a reasonable chunk of money there, 40 million, particularly given the circumstances. Although CCP, a well-known company, probably no surprise that they could raise a large sum. I guess this trend would be really different or without December last year. So in sort of end of October, November, December were good for crypto sentiment. Lots of things took up prices, particularly Solana. But lots of tokens are doing quite well in that last 2 months of the year, and we do have these big two raises as well. If we didn't have these, then obviously 2023 would be seen as like a real sort of washout, really, I suppose. But these two projects, both out of Asia, nominally South Korea. So we have Dozy, which is a mobile gaming entertainment platform from Line Next. So that's. We'll see how they build that out. They've been sort of testing it out in 2023 in browser, but there's going to be a mobile version, so it's quite exciting. It's not pure gaming. It's sort of avatar entertainment. Obviously, Line is a big social media in Asia, so they're sort of taking some of their learnings from there. And then Nexon, which is sort of a South Korean / Japanese company. It's actually South Korean, but headquarters in Japan. They've got a long-running game called Maple Story. Been going for 20 years, very successful, and they're doing a blockchain sort of version of this called Maple Story Universe, and they raised $100 million to sort of build that out. They sort of raised it themselves, actually. So, but without those two, not a lot would have happened in 2023. Worth talking about. With those, you have sort of fairly decent investments, and interestingly, they both come from Asia, and Asia has been pretty strong in blockchain gaming for the last sort of 18 months. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. So in this graph, what I'm doing here is you can see the years, and this is looking at every month and seeing if you add up all the investment going into the sector during that month, where do we end up? So in January, blue is 2023, over 125 million, so bigger than it was in 2021, in January 2021, but January 2022, massive. And we sort of see this cycle for the first sort of first 8 months of 2022, quite large amounts going into the sector, and 2022 is by far and away the biggest year in those first 8 months of the year. When we get to September, this was the time in 2021 when the sector was picking up. So we have these Sorare and Forte investments that we looked at previously. So two very big years. In fact, the two very big months. In fact, the biggest month ever. We've seen 1.25 billion in November 2021. That was the start of the bull market. So the blue is just like small, the tiny. August was just like disaster. But we do see this sort of slight, maybe green shoots, maybe light at the end of the tunnel. In 2023, actually, it was sort of tied with 2021 for the most raised in December. So even in 2022, there wasn't a lot raised in December, but a massive amount in January. You can see this a bit easier. So this is not, I've not really worked up this graph, just was looking at it as well. It's the same data, obviously. I just put a line in. So you can sort of see, 2022 2023, Blue Line not happening, nothing, really low, even sort of comparative, even worse than 2021 in some of its months before the bull market took off. Bull market takes off here in 2021, but here, at least in December, we have 1 month where 2023 beat out 2022. Although I think that was for that was for other sort of reasons, really. I think just people weren't announcing stuff then. Although we did have, obviously, by this stage we did have FTX had gone bust, so you have the end of the year and FTX had gone bust, so lots of bad stuff happening. So, but at least we beat that out. So, and obviously in the future, can't predict anything, but we are hoping 2024 will be a lot better than 2023. Couldn't really be any worse. I would say. Okay. Not going to go too much on this. I wrote about this in my Substack, which is gamestx.substack.com, and basically I look at a lot of this data all the time, and I think similar to other people, in 2022 we got a bit carried away, and we included a lot of funding rounds that probably shouldn't have been included for various reasons. Some of it was spurious money that doesn't seem to have actually been real money. It seems to be just people press releasing stuff. A lot of it was money that was going to ecosystem funds. So like Dapper Labs had a big ecosystem fund for Flow. Polygon had a big ecosystems fund for Polygon. And I would say that money has not been spent in the gaming sector, so we can't include it. And also these big ecosystem funds are sort of, you can't include it that they're raising money and then include the deals that, say, Dapper Labs and Polygon are doing out of those funds, because then you're double counting. So the sensible thing is to take all that out. Animoca Brands is probably the hardest one to work out exactly what you do with that. Because Animoca Brands raised a lot of money, $600 million, and Animoca Brands also is a very big investor into blockchain game sector. So there is a bit of double counting there. I took some Animoca stuff out, but not all of it. So there's a bit of wiggle room. But anyway, the headline stuff here is in 2022, when I was writing this up this time last year, the total was $8.2 billion invested into the blockchain game sector. I'm now revising that down by 35%. So coming down more to sort of 5.4, something like that. So I think we overstated. It's not just me. Lots of people did the same thing, and lots of people I would say are still doing it. But I'm sort of taking that number down because I think we overstated it, and there was money being included there that shouldn't be included. Same thing for 2021, although much smaller. So going from 4.8 to 4 billion, so 14% reduced. So this is just me reducing my baseline comparisons. It's just sort of, I think, sort of good practice just to think about these things and not think they're set in stone. You can always think about that. I mean, obviously 2023, 1.7 billion, so miles down, 70% down on 2022. So 50% down, I think, on 2021. So whether I'm writing these down or not doesn't change the fact that 2023 was terrible, much smaller comparison. Another thing to look at is this is the number of investments. So this is sort of number of investments announced from like VCs and stuff, and also the number of sort of IDOs. I haven't captured all of those because some of those are very small, but the significant ones I've sort of captured. So again, we can see 2022 was very busy. Basically every month, lots of deals signed until we get to the end of the year. Under 20. For 2022, the rest of the year was over 20, over 30 for most months. Until sort of the end of the month, and in some cases over sort of getting on for 60 deals in March announced. Green in 2021, we have, we can sort of see not a lot going on, and then this big sort of pick up in quarter 4 when sort of the bull cycle started up, and we start to see, lots of investments happening 20, 30, 40. Blue, actually it wasn't too bad at the start of the year. So these were not large investments. But there was sort of quite a lot of deal making still happening or being announced. It drops away a lot. August was the worst. I think 5 deals announced then. Obviously that's the summer, so the summer tends to be quiet, and if it's a quiet year, then that's going to be the quietest time. But actually sort of picking up a little bit. So remember we were looking at the amount of money raised, and 2021 and 2023 were the same. So we can quickly just remind ourselves here. So in terms of the money raised, they were the same, but if we look at the number of deals still in 2023, very small amount of deals, and we had these 2 big deals from Line Next and Nexon. Number of deals compared to even though the money is the same, raised across these 2 years, loads more deals. What's that going to be? More than double, 2.5 times more in 2021. So anyway, that's what we get. 2023, pretty terrible year for fundraising. Not just no money going into the sector. No one really caring. Although $1.7 billion isn't nothing, but not large VC funding like there was in the previous years. Maybe that's a good thing. Obviously, a lot of projects probably are no longer going, have shut down. Probably some of those may have been good projects, but the majority of them would have been sort of badly managed projects, I would imagine, or projects that were not very experienced, didn't raise enough money. So hopefully 2024 we can see, it's going to be better than 2023. I think that goes without saying. I don't think it's going to get anywhere close to 2022. I imagine you may, if we are lucky, I think we'd get over $2 billion raised if we're lucky, and the year sort of goes well in terms of macro and interest rates and all that other sort of stuff going on. Over $3 billion I think would be a reasonable amount to be raised. I don't think we're gonna sort of rush back into bull market for VC funding. I think a lot of fingers have been burnt on that one. But that's sort of what happened. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. See you again soon.